Hi, I'm Jen, and I'm here today to share my story in terms of coming from a family system of addiction um, to the point of losing my mother from addiction a few years ago, which has set me on a journey of obtaining my licensed addiction counseling certificate. It's a master's program at MSU, and soon starting my own practice here to serve others and hopefully help bring a voice to those suffering with addiction.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story, for being so honest about what this all looks like, and for doing what you'll do for our community.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
Heck yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay. I've
Okay.
just never done this before, so it's interesting. I'm diving in. And it's on a topic that's a little bit that is very close to home for me. And so this is a great therapeutic exercise because I don't talk about this stuff, but it's something that I'm going to have to do, I think, as I move into this new career. So
I
this will be
imagine.
interesting.
So maybe we start with, since this is our first time chatting and getting to know each other too, just kind of who you are, what's your story, what do you have coming up that you want to share about?
Great. Well, my name is Jen. I moved to Bozeman in 2021 during the great COVID rush, as did many other people, by way of Denver. I grew up in Colorado. Always worked in marketing, brand development, mostly in hospitality. And about 3 years ago, my mother died of overdose. And I'd been raised in a household of addiction my whole life, so that wasn't new for me. But obviously, very triggering when the disease finally wins. And I'd always wanted to get back into the healthcare field, which is what my degree is actually in, a bachelor's in health science. And I don't know, this just felt like the time for me to do so. I was really affected by her passing. It brought a lot of my childhood trauma up to the surface that I had worked so hard to suppress. And at the time, I had a really supportive partner and friends, and I realized that Montana State offered a licensed addiction counseling program, and I applied off the whim and got it accepted within a week of applying. So it just felt like the universe was whispering, like, "You're on the right path. This is what you should be doing." So the decision to make this career change happened very quickly. It wasn't in a vacuum by any means. I had thought about it for a long time, but
Mm.
yeah, it happened quickly. Supportive partner that was extremely integral in being able to follow this passion. So here I am.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, nothing like a earth-shattering life event
Right.
to put us on the path of where we're meant to be.
Yeah.
I have a similar story with that too. We don't need to get into that a ton, but like
Maybe later.
maybe
I'll be
later.
here for
Yeah.
you.
I feel for you. I like my own trauma and like reckoning and becoming that
Yeah.
has led me on this path. So yes, been there in my own way too. So what's coming up next? What has all those experiences in the recent years really brought up for you of the way you want to serve people and move through the world?
Well, having the marketing background and building brands and telling stories and narratives for other people's businesses, I think is going to be extremely beneficial for me as I build this new business and practice. Um, I want to not only be, a licensed addiction counselor where people come to me and I offer them a service of helping them stay on the journey of a healthy and clean lifestyle, but I'm hoping it to be a bigger, all-encompassing, healthy lifestyle business where it's more than that. It's a place where people can come to heal, to find healthy habits in how they deal with their stress. Um, Drugs and alcohol are often not the problem, they're the solution. And I think everybody in today's world can attest to how stressful the world feels. It's like we've been on fire now since COVID. And, it's not uncommon to turn to a glass of wine. I do it sometimes. I mean, it's just how our society tends to handle things. So, in addition to truly helping those that are in like the depths of addiction. I want to be there for people that are just maybe walking the line and needing to find healthier habits of how to handle stress or difficult moments in their life.
Yeah. I know, and all of us have our own experiences with it and whatnot of feel like how it's been shaping our lives on the fringe or
Mm-hmm.
with us directly. But is there anything about your direct experiences that have really, brought you to the place of this is what I want to do for people. This is what I learned. This is how it felt.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's a deep question. And
Yeah.
again, I don't often, this is a great therapeutic exercise for me personally. Um, yes, I didn't talk about my upbringing much with people. A lot of people would not know what I came from in terms of living in a household of addiction and abuse. So I feel that it's integral in how we connect and um, work with others, whether it's in our personal relationships, in our professional careers, with our children, with our friends. Being able to be honest with our trauma, our pain, whether it was something extremely deeply devastating like addiction, or maybe just going through a difficult divorce. Being able to be honest with where you're at mentally and emotionally, and not feeling the shame of hiding that is the first step to, I don't know, evolving and
Yeah.
growing as an adult, especially. I didn't do that up until the last couple of years. It took some major prompting and pushing from people I'm close with in my life. And it was very scary. And actually, I feel like I got worse before I got better. But coming out on the other side of it and seeing the importance of it, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. So hopefully being able to get people to see that it's scary, it's difficult, don't romanticize the journey of healing at all, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Was place a big thing for you?
The
Like change of place?
um I think that it was a culmination of a lot of very big lifestyle like life changes. COVID, my mother passing, the ending of a divorce and the beginning of a new um relationship. All of it perpetuated the need to grow and the need to be more honest with myself. Um, but I would say that it was as if the universe was basically forcing me to stand face to face with all of this. So I like to tell people it was in like a Pandora's box and I didn't want to open it. I was like, I am successful. I have good relationships. I have healthy relationships with my children. I am not suffering addiction. Why would I ever want to open that box? And like I said, when I did, it was pretty ugly and scary and very unfamiliar. And being a person who likes to be extremely in control of their environment and everything going around them, it was, yeah, it was pretty scary. But coming out on the other side of it, it's been probably one of the most important things I've done yet as an adult woman.
And yeah, like I kind of mentioned my journey and to give you some context there. About 4.5 years ago now, a past boyfriend I was with and I got into a car accident on the highway where it was a high speed rollover. I was ejected. He stayed
Yeah.
in. We both had brain injuries and a ton of stuff coming out of it. And we spent about 3 years in fight or flight. And we were really new in our relationship when that happened. And it just velcroed us together. And I spent 3 years in that world. And it wasn't until I just finally hit some sort of wall and realized it was meant to wake me up
Right.
to the woman I could be, to the love I was meant to have. Because there were a lot of things that um, experience kind of overshadowed or,
Didn't allow you to see the
yes,
relationship for what it was separate from the traumatic event.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because we were dealing with so much and just that leap of faith, the change of place, the full trust in myself knowing that I was still feeling hurt, feeling scared in some ways, just totally catapulted me on actually my healing journey 3 years later.
Well, I'm glad you listened to that internal intuition because it's often right before a breakthrough
Mm.
or a big change in your life that's for the best. It feels really scary, and the uncertainty can often hold people back from just leaning into the little signs of, wait, you're going in the right direction, but it's going to be hard before it gets better. And I think that holds so many people back from going after the things that they want, leaving relationships that don't serve them, leaving careers that don't serve them, etc. So yeah, it's often right before these beautiful breakthroughs, your life feels the worst. You're like, this
Yes.
is I'm so unhappy or depressed or you're lethargic or you're unmotivated. But yeah, if people knew, that's like the golden hour of per- potentially changing your life for the better. So
Yeah. And it's wild, on the other side of mine too is, just how crazy it feels to be in this flow state now.
right.
Like, things are not easy,
No.
right? There's still things to deal with, but, there's still struggles in life and wondering, "Am I enough in my career?" and what have you. But to open myself up at least to the love I felt like I did deserve and was meant to have, and
Right.
in the flow and fulfillment in my career and the health in my body, like, just there have been unbelievable breakthroughs in every area of life in the last year and a half since making that decision.
Well, to touch on a few of those notes, first, we'll have to talk later about how you allowed yourself to find the love that you felt you deserve. I
Mm,
am not the most, I would say,
mm.
that is not my area of expertise. So I might need to pick your brain on that.
Oh, well,
Um,
clearly I'm an expert, so
secondly, I think if we all just look in the mirror and realize that a lot of life is going to be painful and difficult, and there's going to be dark moments. That's just life.
yeah.
But understanding it, understanding that like the average emotion lasts about 90 seconds physiologically. It's
Mm,
what we do with our minds that hold on to those negative narratives that then allow the cycle. And now for a week, you're just hyper focusing on, I can't find affordable housing. It's like you get stressed or nervous or anxious, and that's a physiological response in our body.
mm,
And then it's gone. But instead, our minds will hold on to that narrative. And then, boom, you've just spent a week anxious over something. And so, understanding that that is just part of life, um, and learning how to emotionally regulate, let it go, and focus on what you can control, I think will make those dark times or those, painful moments not necessarily easier, but you're going to see that you come out of them
mm,
more quickly. You're learning how to be like, okay, yes, that hurt my feelings, or this is stressful, but hanging on to it then just harbors the thoughts and how we internalize it in our bodies. And like I said, it just perpetuates that cortisol level of just being elevated at all times. And then that leads into the whole fight or flight. I have lived in fight or flight my whole life because of my childhood and being able to, and I'm still a major, this is still something I'm working on every day. But when you live in fight or flight, it I tend to present myself a lot of times in a difficult conversation. Like, let's say I'm in an argument with my partner. Instead of being curious or asking, why do you feel that way? I'm like, you must be angry at me. Like being negative, leading with the negative, not being able to sit back and really listen. And the same thing, fight or flight. You're making decisions from fear and not from a calm place in your mind. And so
mm.
I'm glad you got out of that as well from that situation because there's no place to live
No
in
place
our
to live.
minds.
It's so interesting, though, thinking about all these physiological, complements to our emotional mental state.
Right.
Like, I did hear something recently about, and this was so simplified. It was literally just talking about everyday life and, say, a craving for food or something.
Mhm.
Like, so this might be oversimplified, but just that thing of if you just wait it out, it
Right.
passes. So if you're coming from a calm foundational state,
Right.
you've done the work, you're set up to do that. Right? Just thinking about, again, myself in everyday life, not with a history of XYZ
Hmm.
or something else going on in life, but just knowing that that's possible in our bodies.
It is. And it's training, and it's being very aware, and it's slowing yourself down. I am 1 to 100 miles per hour at all times. Getting me to sit still for this long for this podcast is a feat in itself. But I am awful about thinking ahead when somebody's speaking. I'm awful about
Mhm.
thinking about what I need to do the next day. So for me, the best habit or the best exercise is telling, like, when my brain is already on to the next thing, or whenever I can feel myself taking that moment of an emotional reaction, stopping myself. And sometimes that honestly sounds crazy, but I've started to go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and be like, stop it.
Oh, okay. Some tough love. It's just
It's funny that I'm
looking right at
sharing that
yourself.
because it's embarrassing. People are now going to know I'm like in a bathroom talking to myself. Stop it. But it works,
Yeah.
like looking at yourself and acknowledging, you're you're not in control of your mind right now. So,
Mm. Well, I mean, I imagine that visual cue of looking at yourself,
mhm,
speaking to yourself, maybe takes away some of that, like floating in the air of like my internal voice. Who even is that? Where's this even coming from?
right,
Huh.
right.
That's
So
interesting.
that's something I've started to do as a kid. I use sports, excessive running, perfectionism, being the best at everything. So that was an outlet that I'm trying to not use as much as an adult
Mm.
because it doesn't serve me as well. I can't, you know, go out in a track meet now and make sure I run the 400 faster than everybody else. Instead, I want to work on behaviors that allow me to have more productive and conducive, conversations with
Mm.
friends and partners. Being able to my delivery to be a little softer. So those are new habits that I think are going to be more beneficial as an adult.
Mm. Yeah, hell yeah to that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, what else, going back to recovery, what do you wish people knew more of? And maybe not just being the person going through something directly, but the people in their life witnessing it, being a part
Right.
of it.
I mean, it's such a sad disease, and it affects so many people around them. I think a lot of people get very frustrated with the person in their life that is suffering with addiction. Substance use disorder, I tell people nobody wakes up and says, I want to be a junkie. Like, this is a true progressive disease. You have 100% zero chance of ever becoming an addict if you never pick up a substance, right? But our society obviously makes using drugs and alcohol extremely easy, and it's a part of our social lives in almost every capacity: happy hour, baby shower, birthday, whatever. But if you do have the disease, it is extremely progressive, meaning you're not going to stay at level 2 of your addiction, most likely. Very few people stay at being functional alcoholics. It progresses. Very few people stay at using a drug on the weekend. It turns into maybe on a Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera. So, understanding that it's a progressive disease, it's a preventable disease, but it is a disease that requires you to seek help, and just like you would if you had cancer. And it's a very difficult road, and it takes a lot of mind power and dedication. And it takes a lot of support from the people around the person seeking help. And that isn't always easy because most likely the statistic of relapsing is huge. And so it's it's a disease that requires a lot of compassion, unfortunately. And we are very compassionate, like I said, with a person getting treatment from cancer. So it requires that same level of compassion and support.
Mm. In thinking about the other side or another embodiment of compassionate and support, what about telling stories? Like the chance we have
Oh,
to express
yeah.
what we're going to.
Yeah. I am, again, I'm always so much more comfortable talking about the side of the disease, and the different modality treatments, et cetera. But yes, the stigma of addiction runs deep. And I think the shame that is felt either being the person suffering with substance use disorder or being a byproduct or a child or, a spouse of somebody's, in active addiction. I think that we need to be able to talk about it and put faces to the fact that addiction isn't just, the crazy person on the street that is homeless. It is very rampant. And I an area that I hope to specialize is, I call it, um, the white class doctors, lawyers, the people that we look up to and put on pedestals in our society, bringing the face of addiction to that demographic of people, I think would help a lot of us understand more that addiction is truly a disease. And so, yeah, telling the stories, trying to remove the stigma and the shame, I think would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, it's wild the assumptions we have
Right.
based on where we've been in life or what we've seen on TV
Right.
and just what we assume any one experience of any topic
Hmm.
looks like.
I don't want to, this may, don't mark my words on this, but I believe that lawyers have like a 500% higher chance of being alcoholics than other professions, or it was somewhere wild, but a very high statistic. So, people in extremely high stress professions, it's not just people that come from poverty. Like, yes, those cycles often tend to repeat themselves just because they aren't shown anything different, and it's right there in front of them, and they haven't been educated or had other opportunities. And so that is the common, I think, understanding of addiction and where the highest, likelihood of a person falling into that lifestyle. But, it's not necessarily the case. So,
What do you think has been something good that's come out of all this for you, of being forced on this journey?
I mean, obviously, my own personal healing. Healing isn't linear. It happens differently for everyone. I may have found my own healing journey in a different way eventually. Um, but I definitely think it sped the process up for me. Um, I think that while I loved what I did professionally in the past, it gave me a lot of joy, a lot of great opportunities. Um, this feels more organic for me. I feel like people tend to talk to me openly. I tend to kind of, I don't know, some people would call me a very social person. Um, I I think just my personality and who I am also leans into being able to serve others and help others. So I don't know, it just feels right for me. I feel like I'm gonna walk away each day feeling a little bit more fulfilled. Like
Mm.
I'm living a purpose that I'm very proud of. And to help people, I mean, I come from, like I said, my mother being an addict and losing her fight. My brother has been in the, you know, system in and out of prison most of his life with addiction. So, you can't save everyone, but it'll be nice if I can maybe take some of my familial pain and, sad story and turn it into maybe, a happy ending for somebody else.
Yeah. And the name of your practice is On the Mountain Addiction Counseling.
Yes.
I've been wondering to know where that came from.
Well, everybody calls me Jen's on a mountain because I love to be in the mountains. I do a lot of hiking, hiked every 14er in Colorado and hiked through Alaska and many other states. So um, it comes from that. But also, when you think about, climbing a mountain, it's being present for every step. It is a journey, it is difficult. There's maybe going to be a summit, but then you have to come back down. So it's like healing, recovery, you, tapping into the parts of yourself that are broken, I think are very similar to being on a mountain and climbing a mountain. You know, you get to a point where you're like, I can't go any further. I feel broken. I'm exhausted. And then you just continue to go because you set this goal for yourself. So I don't know. I think it's a really great metaphor.
I like it. Oh, yeah, no, I can very easily put myself in that moment of huffing and puffing, realizing I'm only halfway there
You're like,
and
why am I here? This is stupid. Could be having an Aperol spritz.
ooh.
No, but you know what I mean? It's that mentality of,
Yes.
you know, you can do it, but it's going to be hard in the moment. And then it's going to be really beautiful, you know? And so, yeah, on the mountain, addiction counseling feels right for me.
Yeah, and I'm perfect, I imagine, for this area too. Like so many of us are
Right.
here in Bozeman because of the access to the lifestyle. And it also feels like such a better way to become the people we want to be
Yeah.
than sitting in rooms or in gyms and whatnot.
And I do plan to use nature as a healing modality for my clients. I can foresee me taking them out for a weekend for camping. I think nature is one of our greatest healers and it's one of the greatest storytellers. So taking my clients out into a space that's open and free. And I don't know, sometimes sitting in a room and trying to talk about your deepest pain to me sounds like hell.
Here we are.
I hate it. But I don't know, it makes it a little easier when you're climbing a mountain or you're getting out there and you're just feeling free and connecting. I'm a kind of a weird hippie when it comes to that. Like, let's take our shoes off and go for a walk in the grass and ground. It
Ugh.
just makes it a little easier, I think, to release.
Yeah. And I mean, there's something about when you're sitting across the table from someone and there's a barrier in between you,
Yeah.
things like that, and you're being asked to open up or share and dig deep and whatnot. Not very conducive to that.
No,
So
no.
that's awesome.
It works better for me. So I guess I'm assuming
Yeah.
it will work better for others. Some might be like, no, I just want to sit in this chair. But it is, I think nature is a wonderful place for healing as well. So
Yeah. I mean, and you lived it in the branding world too of knowing to your core that when an experience, a brand, a person shows up as the fullest expression
mhm,
of that entity, that's when it really magnetizes
right.
its people right to them.
And I want to work with others in a way that's what I truly feel. I'm a very genuine person in that capacity of I don't want to put together a program or treat people or work with people. Um, you know, AA is a wonderful program. I know that it's worked well. It's been around for years. I had experience with it when my mother tried to get clean. Um, but I don't necessarily believe in some of the concepts of it. So to only focus on that, to me, wouldn't be a genuine portrayal of who I am and how I want to, you know, connect with other people. So I also think that it's really important to work from a place that you believe in and that you, how you live, you know, living your life in a genuine way.
Yeah.
And that helps people connect. And so for some people, I might not be who they want to work with. We just might not connect in some of those beliefs, but
Yeah.
yeah,
We're not for everyone.
that's true.
Well, does anything feel left unsaid about your story? What's coming next for you?
Well, I'm finishing school after this semester. I will be done. I have to dive into the 1,000 clinical hours. I'm actually extremely excited about that. Learning from others that have already walked this path. I know this is going to be very deep work that I do on a daily basis. So learning how to not leave every day as well with other people's pain is going to be important for me. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe my mom will be looking down, being proud of the work I'm doing. And maybe at the end of the day, I'll be able to give some other little girl her mom back through the work that I'm doing. So I don't know. I'm just really excited to get started.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Of
Thank you for
course.
being here, doing what you do.
Thanks for having me. My very first podcast.
Hell yeah. Happy to be here.
Thanks.
The Stories That Form Us is a production of Unbridled Form, where I serve intimate, artistic brands like boudoir, maternity, wedding, and fine artists through story led branding and web design. If you're in a season of exploring the stories that form you, I invite you to download the free brand storytelling guide at unbridledform.com/storytelling. See what it reveals for you and where it might lead you next. You'll find the link in the show notes. See you next time.